Hey guys, James here and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having an awesome day. About a week ago, I posted a video describing to you guys what I felt were the main advantages of the redesigned 2022 Honda Civic Sedan over the Mazda 3 sedan. In this video, I want to talk about the ways that the Mazda 3 sedan still holds an edge over the Honda Civic. So let's get started. Number one is that the Mazda 3 has a far more elegant exterior and interior design. Although I think the newest generation of the Civic is better looking than the previous one, I think it still is not quite as pretty as the Mazda 3. The front of the Civic has that kind of weird forehead thing going on, and from the back, I think the Civic just looks a little more bulbous, and the fact that the taillights are somewhat oversized and they kind of point outwards like this make the whole design look a little more unstable to my eyes. By contrast, the Mazda 3 exterior has a much more organic design, and honestly, those paint colors are just a lot nicer in my opinion, especially the Mazda Red. The interior of the Civic is way nicer than it used to be in the previous generation, but it's still not quite as elegant or high quality feeling as the Mazda, and there's just a little more evidence of cost cutting in here. The honeycomb pattern is pretty interesting, but it doesn't look particularly expensive. One of the stranger aspects of this interior that seems kind of like cost cutting to me is the fact that some of the HVAC buttons don't light up at night. Overall, the exterior and interior design of the Mazda 3 looks just more beautiful to my eyes, and the interior does feel a little bit higher quality. Reason number two is that the Mazda 3 has a superior driving experience compared to the Civic. It's more natural. Starting with the steering, the Mazda 3 steering mops the floor with the Civic steering. Number one, there's more steering feel. Number two, the Mazda steering centers itself a little bit better on the highway, which makes for a less fatiguing experience on the freeway. And third, when you go off-center, the way that the Mazda weights up the steering is more natural than in the Civic. And then there's the pedals. One of the first things that I noticed when I started driving the Civic was just how overboosted the brake pedal feels. Here's the problem. The gas pedal is less sensitive than most cars that I've driven. So you get this kind of weird combination where you have to really dig into the gas pedal to get moving in normal and eco modes. I mean, sport mode is fine, but normal and eco are kind of, you kind of have to dig into that gas pedal kind of a lot to get moving. And then you just breathe on the brake pedal to come to a stop. So your brain, it has to adjust to the fact that the pedals kind of operate quite differently, and that just makes the driving experience less intuitive, less natural. By contrast, the driving controls in the Mazda 3 are far more cohesive. You get the sense that the people who worked on the steering and who worked on the gas and who worked on the brakes, they all talked to each other. They all, worked together really well. Aside from the controls, what about the vehicle dynamics? Well, the Mazda still, I think, holds the edge here. In my video about the advantages of the Civic, I really talked about how amazing the ride is in this new Civic. But that ride does come at a cost. The suspension is just a little too soft to make this car feel as alive as, say, the old Civic or as the Mazda 3. In the driving dynamics department, the Mazda definitely wins between the intuitiveness of the driving controls as well as the dynamics of the vehicle itself. Number three is that the Mazda is more powerful than the Civic. If you're going for the mainstream engine, then the Mazda has a slight advantage, and then if you go for the top of the line engines, the Mazda 3 engine is just in a different class. The 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine in most Mazda 3s is more powerful than the base Civic engine, and it feels that way too. It's not a huge difference, but it definitely feels like it has that little extra punch. And then if you upgrade to Mazda's turbo 2.5-liter, that engine is way more powerful, way more torquey than the upgraded Civic engine. And the final advantage that the Mazda 3 has over the Honda Civic is the fact that you can get all-wheel drive. In the Mazda 3, all-wheel drive is available with certain trim levels with the naturally aspirated engine, and then it's standard if you get the turbo, which makes a lot of sense given how powerful and how torquey that turbo motor is. I mean, it would be unwieldy and unmanageable if it were front-wheel drive. If you live in a region or a climate where all-wheel drive is a must during certain times of the year, then that is a huge advantage of the Mazda 3 over the Civic. Those are the ways that I think the Mazda 3 still holds an edge over the Honda Civic. And if you want to know how I think the Civic beats the Mazda, click on the a link in the description below for the video where I talk about that topic. With all of that said, if you made it this far, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button down below, it really helps out my little automotive channel that I've got going on here. It also helps out the YouTube algorithm by telling it that, hey, this is a video that you found interesting or helpful, so it'll share it with more people who are interested in the Civic or the Mazda 3. Again, my name is James. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.